There's only a few names who can truly be called the architect of hip-hop's sound. One of them is Marley Marl. He discovered a way of sampling that completely changed the direction of the genre and inspired everyone who came after him.
Marley Marl is one of the greatest hip-hop producers, period.
I think that the top of our family tree is Marley Marl.
When it came to Marley, that's when I was like, I want to learn how to make beats.
He's that much of a master, a sensei, a swordsman that I didn't even think he was sampling.
This is his story. From sneaking a quick go on his brother's turntables, to DJing on one of hip-hop's foundational radio shows, to that crucial studio session where he discovered his sampling technique by accident. Our story begins in Queensbridge, New York City, the largest housing project in America. A maze of red brick towers alive with families, noise and music. It's here that Marlon Williams was born in September 1962. Surrounded by the sounds and artists that would help shape him.
Before me, there was a lot of musicians that made a lot of music. I would look up to these guys, they were on the radio already, and I was like, wow.
Although inspired by the musicians from his neighborhood, Marley's first exposure to music came at home through his older brother.
He was a DJ when it was just about breakbeats and dancing. He had a vast collection of records.
Those records were off limits to a young Marley, but that didn't stop him.
My brother was like, don't touch my shit. And as soon as he would leave out the house, I'm looking out the window, I see him walk out the building, I'm touching his shit.
By the mid-70s, before hip-hop had taken over Queensbridge, Marley was already obsessed with the art of mixing.
One day I was listening to WXLO, and there was a mix show on. I heard someone mix a vocal to an instrumental, and I was like, wow, I was blown away.
The idea that a DJ could create something new, not just play songs, left a mark on him. Soon after, he landed his first residency at Club Pegasus, aged just 14, playing disco, funk, and soul. But around the same time, something new was making its way across the city: hip-hop.
I was in high school, and this guy walked through with a big-ass radio, blasting beats and somebody screaming over the beats with an echo. I was like, oh, man, that sounds amazing. It was DJ Breakout. He was in my school, and he used to come with the tapes and play every park jam that they was doing in the Bronx. It was just so hard.
That was DJ Breakout of Funky 4+1. And for Marley, it was the first time he'd heard music like that. Back home, he started experimenting, trying to fuse that raw Bronx energy with his own style. Then one day, he finally got his shot.
They was out in the park DJing. I was able to get on the set finally and show everybody what I could do. And it was only one transition from one record to the next, but I felt like I had the world in my hands.
Those park parties became Marley's classroom. Every night he was learning what made people move. Then one afternoon, a chance encounter at one of those shows changed everything.
I was DJing on one side of the park. I had a big crowd. The band was at the other side of the park with no crowd. I went down to the band guys and said, hey, I'm about to take a break. Would you like to plug into my big sound system and be heard? The next day, musicians are showing up at my house. They're jamming at my house. I'm learning how to EQ the bass. I'm learning how to make everything sound better. That was my training to become an engineer.
With that curiosity now sparked, a friend gave him his first experience of a professional studio.
My friend Andre Booth, he took me to a studio one time. He said, well, I got rehearsal. I want you to come and EQ us at rehearsal. So I went to his rehearsal, and it was a little studio called Unique. I did an internship there, and it taught me a lot.
Inside Unique Recording Studios, Marley was surrounded by gear he'd only dreamed of. Tape machines, mixing consoles, and early samplers that cost more than a car. He wasn't running sessions yet, but he was absorbing everything. And around that time, one record in particular blew his mind.
Let me tell you what song really changed my life. It was a song by Donna Summer. I heard a syncopated bass line to a track and all electronics going on. And that record right there made me decide that I want to make music.
I Feel Love showed him what was possible with machines. He began experimenting with whatever equipment he could get his hands on, creating his own DJ tools to drop in his sets.
At first, I was just putting good music together as a DJ. I never made records for records. I made remixes for a DJ. I made DJ tools for me, which became DJ tools for the rest of the DJs.
Around this time, Marley began putting his editing skills to use on full records. One of the first was Sucker DJs by Dimples D, a DJ-friendly version of Run DMC's Sucker MCs.
Sucker MCs was out, so I made a version with a female talking about Sucker DJ.
Those homemade edits stood out. They didn't sound like the official versions that everyone else was playing. and before long they landed him his first radio gig.
I did an internship at WBLS. The lady would do a workout show and she hired me. Her name was Pat Prescott.
Right now we're getting ready for the morning workout. Glad you could join us today, Pat Prescott on this end.
She's like, there's a lot of records out, but I need extended versions because we're gonna do exercise. You're the exercise editor. I'm gonna give you songs, you're gonna chop it up, and people are gonna exercise to your mixes.
At WBLS, Marley learned the art of editing, and in the process caught the ear of another host at the station.
Mr. Magic heard me blend music at a street function. He said, wow, that's good. Can I play that remix on my show? I get to the radio station. He puts the song on. I did a remix to Buffalo Gals.
In that moment, Mr. Magic went to play the next record, but the DJ in Marley wouldn't let him mess up the mix.
It was in the middle of the song. He pulled the next record out and he throws it on the turntable. I said, what you doing? That don't mix with that. He said, well, go over there and pull out something that flows with that. I pulled out a record, put it on the turntable, and got it in time with the pitch. And all of a sudden, the mix was going off, and I mixed it seamlessly. He's like, what are you doing on the weekends? I came to the radio station. I became the, quote, engineer all-star, DJ Marley Marl.
Soon after, Mr. Magic and Marley joined forces to create the first ever hip-hop show, Rap Attack.
Good evening to your super listeners. How you doing tonight, all your fly guys and fly girls? We'd like to once again welcome you to the world famous Mr. Magic Rap Attack. Marley Marl putting on the mixing gloves. We're gonna have big fun tonight.
Giving Marley a platform to showcase his edits to a massive audience. And it was on that show that one record would change everything.
My name is Roxanne. I don't even know. I just a cold rock a party and I do the show.
He lived in a building across from me. When he said to me for me to come to his house, he wanted me to do a freestyle over a beat real quick. And so I just did Roxanne's Revenge right off the top of my head in the process of doing my laundry. And he was like, just it's only gonna take like 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, look, I got 7 minutes. And I actually did Roxanne's Revenge in 7 minutes. One take, left, and then went back downstairs to do the laundry.
That track was a response to UTF's Roxanne.
I was walking down the street, so I said, hello, can't go from UTFO. And she so, I said, so.
Roxanne was out at the time, and I wanted an alternative. She just came to the house, one take, rhymed over it, and we put it on the radio that night, and it became a gold record.
In just a few years, Marley had gone from his brother's turntables to the clubs to breaking hit records on one of the most influential shows in New York City. Between his time at WBLS and those late nights at Unique, Marley was getting more hands-on in the studio. One afternoon, while working on a session for Captain Rock, he stumbled onto something completely by accident while trying to sample a sound from an Art of Noise record.
I was going to get something else off of the track to sample, and the snare actually recorded first before the sound that I was looking for. I started playing my sampler against the track that was coming through the speakers, and my snare sounded better. So I told the engineer, turn that snare down. I was like, this means I could take any drum sound from any pre-existing record. It was a mistake. It was a basic, honest mistake that changed everything.
For the first time, Marley realized he could lift individual drum hits, kicks, snares, and hi-hats straight from vinyl, instead of relying on the stiff, synthetic sound of drum machines.
That day, I went to the audio store and bought a digital SDD sampler by Korg, and it had 1.5 seconds of sampling time. It had a trigger in the back, so me being an engineer, I would see these guys triggering all day. I remembered that I could get a trigger to trigger my actual sample. I would trigger it from a drum machine. This is pre-MIDI. We had something called sync. I would make a pulse come from my drum machine and trigger my sampler, or however the rhythm I wanted the drums to be.
He'd take a kick from one record, a snare from another, a hi-hat from somewhere else, recording each to tape layer by layer. That sample discovery made entirely by accident would go on to reshape not just Marley's music, but the sound of hip-hop itself. And the first record to showcase it was Marley Marl's Scratch, featuring another Queensbridge native, MC Shan.
All of his beats and my rhymes attached. From the new creation called the Marley Scratch. We always
who used to rhyme on his block. Shanté's building was right across in front of Marley's building. We used to sit right on the checker tables in Queensbridge. He used to look out his window and see us rhyming. We used to rhyme under his window on purpose.
By then, Marley's name was ringing through Queensbridge, and every MC wanted a chance to work with him.
How am I gonna get Marley to listen to me? I know. I'm gonna write a record totally about him. And so when I came to him and broke that down, he was like, yo, I had to come up with a master plan.
Released in 1985, Marley Marl's scratch captured that new sound perfectly. It was the start of a new chapter for hip-hop production. By 1985, Marley Marl's small Queensbridge apartment had turned into a makeshift hit factory. Word was spreading through the borough. If you wanted your record to sound right, you went straight to Marley. Alongside Mr. Magic, whose on-air nickname was Sir Juice, they formed what became known as the Juice Crew.
We were hip-hop's first super friends. Everyone had their own individual superpower. Biz was a beatbox, unlike any other. I was a freestyle rapper, unlike any other. Shan was a storyteller, unlike any other. G-Rap was a gangster rap, unlike any other. Kane was a lyricist, unlike any other. Ace was an entertainer, unlike any other. Marley Marl was a producer, unlike any other.
The chemistry between Marley and Shan led to one of the crew's first anthems, The Bridge.
Hip-hop was set out in the dark. They used to do it out in the park. Every place that said his name.
This record was made off of a 4-track. It wasn't elaborate. I would use the tracks for the frequencies that were close to one another. I already knew that the hi-hat and the snare was around the same frequency. I would put those on one track. Then I would put the kick and maybe the bass line, since that was the low frequency. The bridge sample, track 3, and his vocals on track 4.
When the bridge hit the airwaves, it did more than celebrate Queensbridge. It accidentally sparked one of hip-hop's earliest rivalries, following an encounter Marley and Magic had in the studio.
We were in the studio, and there was a group next door called Boogie Down Production. They wasn't really known yet. They were just making demos. They saw Mr. Magic. Oh, could you please listen to my demo? They play the music. Magic's looking at me like, he goes over to the console, shuts it down. This shit is garbage. And I'm like, how do I get out of here without getting punched? And my haste of getting out of the studio, I left my prized drum reel. They went in the studio that very night, took my drum sounds, and made a record dissing us.
Boogie Down Productions fired back with South Bronx, and the bridge wars were on.
Do you think that hip-hop had its start out in Queensbridge?
A battle broadcast live over Mr. Magic's radio show.
WBLS 107.5 in the class by itself, often imitated but never quite duplicated. This is the original Juice Crew, which covers the entire Metro New York area, because I am, of course, from the Boogie Down Bronx. And this KRS crew, who are they? Where are they from? Sounds like sauce. Ragu, homeboy. We will battle you anytime, any place, anywhere, if you dare.
But outside of that storm, Marley kept building. Between 1987 and 1989, his cold chilling studio became a production line for classics. Biz Markie's Going Off, Big Daddy Kane's Long Live the Kane, Kool G Rap and DJ Polo's Road to Riches. By 1988, the Juice Crew were unstoppable. And when Marley brought them together for The Symphony, a last-minute addition to his debut album In Control Volume 1, they set a new standard for posse cuts.
My album was done, and that was the photo shoot for the album. And Kane was like, yo, we all together, let's make a record. So everybody on that photo was supposed to be on the symphony, but some didn't show up to the record. I didn't even know the impact that that record would make.
Battling me is hazardous to help, so put a quarter in your cause you played yourself. I reign superior, always taking care of you.
All right, quick break before we get into the next part of the story. We make our own samples at Loop Kitchen, inspired by those jazzy, soulful samples from hip-hop's golden era. Full, nostalgic compositions you can chop and flip into your own beats. Right now, all our packs are buy one, get one free with the code Nobody Beats the Sale. Yes, I know, a terrible pun, but a discount's a discount. And if you just want to dip your toes in, we've got some free packs you can grab too. We've also got a Discord community for producers and beat makers, where we've just kicked off our latest beat battle. Think you've got what it takes to be the champ? Then come and join in. And the links for all of that is down in the description. By the late 80s, the Juice Crew's golden run was winding down. The MCs were branching out and Marley Marl was about to do the same. Having left Rap Attack to start his own WBLS show In Control in '88, bigger artists were now reaching out to appear on the show. One of them was LL Cool J.
He comes to the radio station for an interview. After the interview, I sat down with him and I said, I know you're not getting that love in the street from this album, but there's a song on this album that I think I could remix and it could change a lot of stuff. He's like, oh, Jingling Baby. He got me the parts and that changed everything.
Play a dance to a Marley Marl remix single love. Let me see your earrings jingle, love.
The jiggling, baby.
Go ahead, baby.
The jiggling, baby.
That remix became a turning point in LL's career, and soon after he asked Marley to join him on tour.
From that song, I became his tour DJ. So obviously we're touring the world, doing all the major TV shows. I would say that that was the beginning of my life in the entertainment world.
Off the back of that success, the two began working on a full-length album, keeping that signature Marley sound, but scaled up for a major label release. The result was Mama Said Knock You Out, the record that earned Marley his first Grammy. From there, more major label opportunities came calling.
I did some earlier songs with TLC when they first came out. I started getting R&B budgets. It was a little different from hip-hop. Little $3,000 hip-hop tracks was cool, but then when you started doing like $40,000 R&B songs, I could buy an SSL for the crib.
That influx of major label money meant he no longer had to work out of his bedroom. He built a new studio in Astoria, Queens, known as the House of Hits. By the time the 90s arrived, Marley Marl's influence was already baked into hip-hop's DNA. The way producers chopped drums, flipped samples, even mixed records, all of it carried traces of his approach. And his impact could be heard through nearly every artist and producer that followed. Take DJ Premier, for example.
DJ Premier told me that that song was the blueprint to his production life. The answer scratching that he does on all his records. You always hear DJ Premier cutting words that match each other. And he said, Nobody Beats the Biz taught him to do this.
For producers like Premier, Marley wasn't just an influence, he was the template.
I think that the top of our family tree is Marley Marl.
Even as technology evolved from SP1200s to MPCs to laptops, the blueprint stayed the same. You can trace that sound, that swing, right back to Marley. And maybe Roxanne Shanté said it best.
He came out and he started this when others didn't even want to look at hip hop the way he looked at hip hop. With the beats, with the studio, sleeping in the studio for days, creating such a crew as the Juice Crew, seeing the greatness in people.
Marley Marl might have called the technique he discovered an accident. But looking back, it feels more like it was fate all along. And if you want to hear more stories like this, check out our Behind the Records series, exploring the producers, albums, and samples that shaped hip-hop history.